Frank Lawson stood at the window of his office on the massive Galactic Council station. The Earth ship that had brought him here looked small among the alien vessels. After 5 years as Earth's ambassador, he felt small too. The Council never listened. They never cared. Frank turned away from the window when his computer beeped. A message from Olivia Grant, his military attaché. She had found something important. Very important. "You need to see this right now," Olivia said when she entered his office. Her face was serious. She placed a data pad on his desk. "I got into their private communication channel. They've been working against us the whole time." Frank read the messages. His hands began to shake. The Council leaders, especially the ancient Shoric species, had been deliberately blocking Earth's petitions. They had set impossible standards. They had lied in meetings, all while smiling at Frank and promising fair treatment. "They'll vote against our trade proposal tomorrow," Olivia said. "It's already decided. The public debate is just for show." Frank sat down heavily in his chair. 5 years of work. For nothing. "There's more," Olivia pointed at the screen. "They're planning to restrict human expansion. They're afraid of how fast we're growing." Frank thought of the human colonies. Millions of people who would travel to distant stars. The Council wanted to stop them from building new homes, from growing. "Get Eric Daniels up here," Frank said. "He needs to see this before the trade meeting." Eric arrived 20 minutes later. As Earth's trade representative, he had worked for 3 years on the proposal the Council was about to reject. "They can't do this," Eric said after reading the messages. "Our colonies need those supply routes. We followed all their rules. Rules they never intended us to satisfy," Frank said. His anger grew with each passing minute. "I'm tired of playing their game." Outside the office window, the Council station continued its slow spin. Thousands of aliens from 30 different species lived and worked there, but humans were still treated like newcomers, like children who needed to be controlled. "What will you do?" Olivia asked. Frank stood up. "Call an emergency session. Now." 2 hours later, Frank walked into the Council chamber. The huge circular room was filled with representatives from all member species. The elder races sat at the front. The Jorak with their blue-gray skin. The Meridians with their 4 arms. The tall Ashari. They looked annoyed at this unexpected meeting. The Council speaker, a Jorak named Casfor, glared at Frank. "Ambassador Lawson, this session was not scheduled. We are preparing for tomorrow's trade vote. A vote you've already decided," Frank said loudly. His voice echoed in the chamber. "A vote you fixed before any discussion happened." Whispers spread through the room. The younger Council members looked confused. The elder races remained calm, but Frank saw worry in their eyes. "This is inappropriate," Casfor said. "If you have concerns about procedure." Frank connected his data pad to the room's display system. The private messages appeared on the huge screens. Messages showing years of deliberate obstruction. Secret agreements to keep humans from gaining influence. "We came to you in peace," Frank said, his voice steady and strong. "We shared our technology. We followed your rules. And you conspired against us from the beginning." Chaos erupted in the chamber. The younger races shouted questions. The elder races called for order. Casfor's face darkened with anger or embarrassment. It was hard to tell with Jorak. "These are private communications taken out of context," Casfor said. "This is a violation of Council security." "This is proof of your dishonesty," Frank replied. He looked around the room, making eye contact with representatives from the younger races. Many had been friendly to humans. Many had benefited from human technology and trade. Earth has been patient. Earth has been respectful. That ends today. Frank turned and walked toward the exit. Council security officers moved to block his path, but stopped when Olivia stepped forward. Even without weapons, she projected military authority. "Ambassador, this session is not concluded," Casfor called. Frank stopped at the doorway and looked back. "Yes, it is." And so is Earth's patience. Expect a message from our president very soon." He walked out as the chamber erupted in shouting behind him. President Valerie Summers watched the recording of Ambassador Lawson's confrontation with the council for the third time. Her office in the White House was quiet except for the voices from the screen. When it ended, she looked at her advisors. "It's time," she said. "We've prepared for this possibility for years. Activate Protocol Exodus." Defense Secretary William Peterson nodded. "Are you certain, Madam President? Once we begin, there's no going back." Valerie stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Washington, D.C. looked peaceful. Most citizens had no idea how badly the Galactic Council had treated humanity for the past decade. "I'm certain," she said. "Send the ultimatum. Then begin the withdrawal." 3 hours later, Valerie's face appeared on every screen in the council chamber. The emergency session had lasted all night as the representatives argued about the human ambassador's accusations. "I speak directly to the Galactic Council," Valerie said. Her voice was calm but firm. "For 10 years, humanity has sought fair treatment. For 10 years, we have been denied. Ambassador Lawson has provided evidence of your deliberate efforts to marginalize Earth and human colonies." CAS4, the council speaker, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Many representatives looked away from the screen. "Therefore, I present this ultimatum. Grant humanity full membership with equal rights, or Earth and all human colonies will withdraw completely from council space and agreements." Laughter erupted from several elder race representatives. A Meridian counselor waved all 4 of his arms dismissively. "Humans cannot survive without council trade networks," he said. "This is an empty threat." Valerie's expression didn't change. "You have 6 hours to provide your answer. After that, we begin our withdrawal." The screen went dark. The council chamber filled with voices again. Most thought the humans were bluffing. How could they possibly survive alone? In a corner of the chamber, Zittel Varn, an intelligence officer for the council, approached CAS4 quietly. "Speaker," I advise caution. "My reports suggest humans have been preparing for independence for some time." CAS4 dismissed him with a gesture. "They need our technology. They need our trade routes. They will come crawling back within weeks." On the human flagship Washington, Lieutenant Commander Alan Blackwell received encrypted orders. He read them twice to be sure he understood. "Confirm Protocol Exodus is active," he said to his communications officer. "Send the recall signal to all human ships in council space. Priority 1. The officer looked startled. "All ships, sir. That's over 3,000 vessels." "All of them," Alan confirmed. "And contact every human station, outpost, and embassy. Everyone comes home." Now, throughout council space, human captains received the same message. On hundreds of alien worlds, human workers, scientists, and diplomats were quietly advised to pack essential belongings and prepare for immediate evacuation. In her office, Valerie prepared to address humanity. Cameras were set up as she reviewed her notes one last time. "Are we really ready for this?" asked her chief of staff, Daniel Rogers. "We've been stockpiling resources, developing independent technologies, and strengthening our defenses for 5 years," Valerie said. "The council believes we're dependent on them. They're wrong." The camera light turned on. Valerie looked directly into it, speaking to billions of humans across Earth and the colonies. "Citizens of Earth and all human settlements, I have today delivered an ultimatum to the Galactic Council. For too long, they have treated humanity as second-class members of the galactic community. They have blocked our progress, limited our growth, and worked against our interests in secret." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We came in peace. We extended our hand in friendship. We were met with contempt. Now we will show them what it means when humanity stands alone." She explained Protocol Exodus, the complete withdrawal of all human presence from council space and institutions. "There will be challenges ahead. But remember this, humanity thrived for thousands of years before we met the council. We advanced from horse-drawn carriages to space travel in just 2 centuries. We do not need their approval to succeed." As she spoke, the first human ships were already breaking orbit around alien worlds. Embassy staff were closing their offices. Scientists were downloading their research and leaving their labs. The exodus had begun. Darius Wells checked his watch again. 40 minutes until the evacuation shuttle arrived. The medical research station on Proxima orbited a distant star, far from Earth, but the recall order had reached them just the same. "We need to pack the virus samples first," he told his team of human scientists. Then the gene sequencers. Around him, the large laboratory buzzed with activity. 5 years of research on alien diseases was being packed up in less than a day. Some things would have to be left behind. Dr. Lisa Powell approached him with a worried look. "The Meridian staff are asking questions. What should I tell them?" Darius sighed. The alien scientists they worked with had no idea what was happening. "Tell them the truth. We've been ordered to leave." Across council space, the same scene played out thousands of times. Human engineers walked off construction projects. Human traders closed their shops. Human diplomats sealed their embassies, all following the same order: "Come home now." On the central trading hub of Kaldar Station, store owner Mary Collins locked her shop doors for the last time. Alien customers gathered outside, confused and angry. "Where will we get Earth coffee now?" one asked. "Why are you leaving?" Mary couldn't give them a good answer. She just knew she had to go. The council's 6-hour deadline passed with no response to President Summers' ultimatum. The council leaders still believed humans were bluffing. They were wrong. Darius finished sealing another crate of research materials when the laboratory door opened. Thela, the Meridian administrator of the station, entered. Her 4 arms were crossed, a sign of distress in her species. "Is it true?" she asked. "All humans are leaving." Darius nodded. "We've been recalled. All of us. But why? Our work here is important. We're close to a cure for the Regelian plague." "Ask your council," Darius said. "They've blocked human membership for 10 years. They've worked against us in secret." Thela's skin changed color slightly, a sign of shame among Meridians. "Not all of us agree with the council elders. They have made a mistake with humans. A mistake they'll soon notice," Darius said. He closed the last crate. "Do you know how many systems in this station were designed by humans? How many medical devices? How many computer programs?" Thela looked around the lab, suddenly understanding. Much of their most advanced technology had human origins or required human maintenance. "You can't just leave," she said, her voice quiet now. "The station needs you." The council should have thought of that before they decided humans weren't worthy of respect. Outside in space, a defensive line of human military ships formed around Earth's solar system. More ships gathered around the human colony worlds. The message was clear. Humanity was closing its borders. On the council station, the first reports of problems began to arrive. A power system failed on a distant outpost. A farming colony reported their crop management systems were offline. A defense platform went dark along the border with foreign space. All systems that had been maintained by humans. In the Grand Council chamber, CAS-4 received these reports with growing concern. The human withdrawal was happening faster and more completely than anyone had expected. "How many humans were working in council space?" he asked his aide. "Nearly 1 million, the aide replied. "They're in every sector, every industry. And they're all leaving. Almost all gone already. Their ships are, very fast." Council member Jax Kellen, from a frontier world that had good relations with humans, stood up to speak. "We must reconsider the human ultimatum. The disruption is already beginning." "They'll come back," and Elder Jorek said dismissively. "Where else can they go?" Jax looked at the reports streaming in. "Perhaps the better question is, how will we manage without them?" As the council argued, the last human transport lifted off from Proxima Station. Darius looked out the window as the station grew smaller behind them. Thela had been right. They were close to important medical breakthroughs, but principles mattered more. His communication device beeped with a message from Earth. All personnel accounted for. Protocol Exodus at 85% completion. Well done. The humans were almost home, and the council was just beginning to understand what they had lost. The council chamber was filled with angry voices. 2 days had passed since the humans began their withdrawal. Now, hundreds of reports of system failures flowed in from across council space. Order. We will have order. Casfor shouted, but few listened. The council was in chaos. The large doors at the entrance opened. Ambassador Melissa Hayes walked in. She was the last human representative still on the station. The room fell silent as she approached the central speaking platform. Ambassador Hayes, Casfor said stiffly, we were not informed you would address the council today. I come with a message from Earth, Melissa said. Her voice was clear and carried through the large chamber. I am here to deliver Earth's formal withdrawal from all council agreements and partnerships. She placed a data crystal on the platform. It contained the official document ending 10 years of human participation in galactic affairs. This is unnecessary, said a Meridian counselor. Surely we can discuss President Summers' demands reasonably. The time for discussion was the past 10 years, Melissa replied. That time is over. A Jorek elder stood up, his blue-gray skin darkening with emotion. You cannot simply leave. There are contracts, agreements, joint projects, all legally ended by this document, Melissa said. Perhaps you should have considered that before working against human interests for a decade. The chamber erupted again. Some younger race representatives shouted at the elder races. Others pleaded with Melissa to reconsider. In a quiet corner, Jax Kellen watched with concern. His world, Nueva Terra, was half human in population. He understood both sides of this conflict. Ambassador, he called out when there was a pause in the shouting. What would it take to bring humans back to the table? Melissa looked at him. That is no longer my place to say. I am simply here to deliver the withdrawal notice. A new figure approached the platform. Dr. Lorntal, the council's chief scientist. The tall, thin alien carried several data pads. Counselors, I must share some disturbing information, he said. Our analysis shows critical systems failing across council space. Many of these systems were designed or maintained by humans. He displayed charts and graphs showing increasing failures. Power grids, medical systems, agricultural networks, defense platforms. Without human engineers and scientists, we estimate 30% of major council systems will fail within 1 month, 60% within 3 months. Casfor looked shocked. That cannot be correct. Our technology existed before humans joined the council. Yes, Lorntal agreed, but humans improved much of it. And some of our newest systems were entirely human designs that we now depend on. Another council member stood up. We can replace them. We have our own engineers. Who will need time to understand human systems? Lorntal said. Time we may not have. As the debate continued, Melissa quietly left the chamber. Her work was done. The last human ship would leave in 1 hour. She would be on it. Jax Kellen followed her into the hallway. Ambassador, please. There must be a way to resolve this. Melissa stopped. Did you know that humans have been preparing for this possibility for years? While the council thought we needed them, we were developing independent technologies, stockpiling resources, creating our own trade networks. Jax looked surprised. The council intelligence services never reported this. Because the elder races never believed humans could be a threat. They saw us as children playing at galactic politics. And now they will learn what humans are truly capable of, Melissa said. Perhaps when they understand that real negotiations can begin. Back in the council chamber, the argument continued. But now a new fear was growing. If humans had been preparing for independence all this time, what else had they been doing in secret? Lorntal shared one final piece of information. Council members, we have detected unusual activity at the borders of human space. They appear to be constructing defensive barriers far more advanced than anything they shared with us. A cold silence fell over the room. The humans weren't just leaving. They were sealing themselves off completely. Casfor finally spoke the question on everyone's mind. What have we done? 3 months had passed since the human withdrawal. Nicole Winters stood at the loading dock of her company's former headquarters on Centauri Prime, a major council hub world. As CEO of Human Medical Technologies, she had spent 8 years building the company here. Now, she watched as the last equipment containers were loaded onto her transport ship. "Ms. Winters, please reconsider," said Grell, her Ashari assistant manager. "The hospital systems are failing. Patients are suffering." Nicole felt a pang of guilt, but shook her head. "My orders are clear. All human businesses must return to Earth space." Around them, the once busy spaceport was strangely quiet. Many shops were closed. Maintenance robots sat idle without their human technicians. Even the air felt different. The life support systems weren't working properly anymore. "At least leave us the maintenance manuals," Grell pleaded. "I would if I could," Nicole said. "But those are proprietary technologies. The Council had 10 years to negotiate fair technology sharing agreements. They chose not to." Her communication device beeped. The ship was ready. It was time to leave. Across Council space, similar scenes played out. Human design systems continued to fail. Medical equipment malfunctioned. Agricultural domes produced less food. Defense systems showed dangerous gaps. On the Council station, an emergency session had been in progress for days. Reports from all sectors showed growing problems. "The Rilnar colony has lost 60% of its food production," one representative reported. "They request emergency supplies." "The central banking system is experiencing calculation errors," said another. "Financial markets are becoming unstable." Casfor, the Council speaker, looked tired. His blue-gray skin had paled from stress. "What about the diplomatic efforts? Have the humans responded to our messages?" A communication officer stepped forward. "Earth acknowledges receipt of all messages, but provides no substantive response." "They're watching us suffer," a Jorek elder said angrily. Jax Kellen stood up. "They are watching us experience the consequences of our own actions. There's a difference." On Earth, Director Samuel Russell studied the reports flowing into Earth Intelligence Headquarters. Each screen showed a different aspect of the growing crisis in Council space. "The Vorn Directorate has increased military activity along the Council borders," his deputy said. "They sense weakness." Samuel nodded. The Vorn were aggressive and expansionist. They had been enemies of the Council for centuries. Now they saw an opportunity. "What about our defenses?" Samuel asked. "All colony worlds are protected. The new shield technology is fully deployed. No Council or Vorn ship can approach without permission." Samuel smiled slightly. The shield technology was one of many advancements humans had developed but never shared with the Council. They had learned to keep their best innovations secret. His communication device beeped. A message from President Summers. "Council has sent urgent request for negotiations. How should we respond?" Back in Council space, Nicole's ship prepared for its final jump to human territory. Through the viewport, she could see Centauri Prime growing smaller. Her pilot turned to her. "Ms. Winters, we're receiving a distress signal. A medical transport ship is having life support failures. There are patients on board." Nicole hesitated. The protocol exodus rules were clear. No delays, no exceptions. "How far away is it?" she asked. 10 minutes at full speed. But we're supposed to leave Council space immediately." Nicole thought about the patients, about her company's mission to save lives. "Protocol Exodus says we come home," she said slowly. "It doesn't say we can't help people on the way. Change course." As her ship turned toward the distress signal, far away in Council space, the first Vorn warships crossed the border. The Council defensive grid, partly designed by humans, failed to detect them until too late. The Council's long-held belief in their superiority was crumbling. Their technology was failing, their enemies were advancing, and their only hope lay with the species they had dismissed and disrespected for a decade. A desperate message was sent to Earth: request immediate negotiations. Terms open for discussion. Situation critical. A small council ship approached the edge of human space. It moved slowly, all weapons powered down. The ship carried 3 passengers: Senior Ambassador Ilariel of the Ashari, Council Member Jax Kellen, and Dr. Lorntal. They had been chosen to speak with the humans after weeks of desperate debate. "We're being scanned," the pilot reported. "Many human ships are nearby, but they remain hidden." Ilariel nodded. "Continue forward. Maintain open communications." A voice came through their system. "Council vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. State your purpose." "We come as representatives of the Galactic Council," Ilariel replied. "We request permission to speak with President Summers or her representatives." There was a long pause. Then, "Hold position and await escort." 2 human military ships suddenly appeared beside them. The council members were startled. These ships had been there all along, but their cloaking technology had hidden them perfectly. "The humans have been busy," Dr. Lorntal said quietly. "Such technology was not in our records." The escort guided them to a space station at the edge of human territory. It was a simple but efficient structure, clearly built recently. The council ship docked, and the 3 representatives were led to a conference room. Inside, they found Defense Secretary William Peterson waiting. His face was stern and showed no emotion. "Secretary Peterson," Ilariel began, "thank you for receiving us." "The Council." "Save it," Peterson interrupted. "I know why you're here. 6 months of watching your systems fail has finally convinced you that you need humans." Ilariel looked taken aback but continued. "We propose a new agreement. Full council membership for humanity, technology exchange rights, and guaranteed seats on all major committees." Peterson laughed without humor. "The same offer we asked for years ago. The terms are no longer acceptable." The council had its chance. Jax Kellen stepped forward. "Please, Secretary. The Vorn have invaded 3 council worlds already. Civilian casualties are mounting. We need help." "That sounds like a council problem," Peterson said coldly. "Not a human one." On Earth, President Summers met with her cabinet. On screens around the room, they watched the meeting at the border station. "Are we really going to refuse them?" asked Health Secretary Karen Burke. "People are dying." The council ignored human suffering for years, Samuel Russell, the intelligence director, pointed out. "Why should we care about theirs?" Valerie Summers stayed quiet, listening to both sides. Finally, she spoke. "This isn't about revenge. It's about respect. The council never respected us as equals." "So what do we do?" asked William's deputy on the screen. "They're waiting for our response." "Tell them the truth," Valerie said. "The terms have changed." Back at the station, Peterson received new instructions from Earth. He turned back to the council representatives. "Here's the situation. The council is no longer in a position to offer terms. If you want human help, you'll need to accept our conditions." Ilariel looked shocked. "What conditions?" "Complete reorganization of the council, equal representation for all species, no special status for elder races, open technology sharing with fair compensation, joint defense obligations. That would end thousands of years of council tradition," Dr. Lorntal exclaimed. "Traditions that led you here," Peterson said, "begging for help from a species you treated as inferior." Jax Kellen spoke up again. "The Vorn will not wait while we debate politics. They've already destroyed the Pellier colony. 8 million dead." For the first time, Peterson's expression softened slightly. "I'm sorry for those losses, but our terms stand." "May I speak directly with President Summers?" Ilariel asked. "There must be room for negotiation." "There isn't," Peterson replied. "But yes, she will meet with you." On Earth, you can present your case directly. The council representatives looked at each other in surprise. To be invited to Earth was unexpected. It was also their only hope. "We accept," Ilariel said finally. As the council ship prepared to follow their escort deeper into human space, Jax looked out at the stars. The galaxy was changing forever. The old powers were falling, and humanity, the newcomer the council had dismissed, now held the future in their hands. "Do you think they'll help us?" Dr. Lorenthal asked quietly. "They're humans," Jax replied. "They're angry, but they're also compassionate. That's what the council never understood about them." Admiral Heather Parker stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Liberty and watched the tactical display. Red dots representing Vorn warships were spreading across what used to be council space. The situation was worse than anyone had expected. Another distress call. "Admiral," her communications officer reported. "A civilian transport near the Rigel system. Vorn attackers have disabled their engines." Heather frowned. Her orders were clear. Observe but do not engage. President Summers was still deciding whether to help the council. "How many civilians?" she asked. "The transport reports over 2,000 refugees, mostly families." Heather looked at the tactical display again. Her fleet could reach the transport in minutes, but that would mean entering the conflict before Earth had decided its position. On a nearby screen, news from Earth showed the council delegation arriving for their meeting with President Summers. The fate of the galaxy might depend on that conversation. "Admiral," her second-in-command asked, "what are your orders?" Before she could answer, another alert sounded. A lone human ship had broken formation and was moving toward the civilian transport. "Identify that ship," Heather commanded. "It's the Swift Justice, Captain Benjamin Reeves commanding." Heather sighed. Ben Reeves was a good officer but known for following his heart rather than orders. "Open a channel," she said. When Reeves appeared on screen, she spoke firmly. "Captain Reeves, return to formation immediately." "With respect, Admiral," Ben replied, "there are children on that transport. I can't just watch them die. This is not our fight yet." "Maybe not Earth's fight officially," Ben said, "but it's mine. Court-martial me when I get back." The connection cut off. Heather watched as the Swift Justice accelerated toward the civilian transport. One ship against 3 Vorn attackers. The Swift Justice was fast and well-armed, but outnumbered. On Earth, President Summers sat across from the council delegation in the White House meeting room. Security Secretary Peterson had just finished briefing her on the latest Vorn attacks. "As you can see," Ilariel said, "the situation is desperate. The Vorn are targeting civilian populations first. Their tactics are brutal. Why can't the council fleet stop them?" Valerie asked. Dr. Lorenthal looked embarrassed. "Many of our defense systems were integrated with human technology. Without proper maintenance, they've become less effective." "Less effective," Peterson scoffed. "They're barely functioning." Valerie held up a hand to silence him. "How many civilian casualties so far?" "Over 15 million, Jax Kellen said quietly. "And rising every day." Valerie's communication device beeped with an urgent message. She read it quickly, then looked up with concern. "One of our ships has engaged Vorn forces to protect a civilian transport. Captain Benjamin Reeves of the Swift Justice." "Without authorization?" Peterson asked, alarmed. "Apparently so," Valerie replied. She turned to her military aide. "Get me a live feed from Admiral Parker's fleet." A large screen on the wall came to life, showing the Swift Justice engaged in combat with 3 Vorn ships. The human vessel moved with surprising speed and precision, but it was taking heavy damage. "Your captain is very brave," Ilariel observed, "but he cannot win against 3 Vorn warships." As they watched, the Swift Justice positioned itself between the Vorn and the disabled transport, taking hits meant for the civilians. "He's buying time for the civilians to repair their engines," Admiral Parker's voice came through the communication system. but he's losing shield strength fast. Valerie Summers stood up. This single act of heroism had forced her hand. One human had decided that saving innocent lives mattered more than politics. "Admiral Parker," she said clearly, "the swift justice and those civilians need assistance. You are authorized to engage." On the screen, the Liberty and 5 other human warships suddenly decloaked and moved toward the battle. Their weapons charged, ready to fire. "It seems," Valerie said to the Council delegation, "that the decision has been made for us. Humanity will not stand by while innocents die." The Council representatives watched in awe as the human fleet engaged the Vorn ships with devastating efficiency. The battle was over in minutes. Admiral Parker's voice came through again. "All Vorn ships destroyed or retreating. The Swift Justice is damaged but operational. Civilian transport secure." "So," Valerie said, turning back to the Council delegation, "let's discuss those terms again, starting with how quickly we can deploy our forces to protect other civilian worlds." 1 month later, Ambassador Frank Lawson stood in the center of the newly rebuilt Council chamber. Around him sat representatives from all species, elder races no longer at the front but mixed among the others. The chamber had been redesigned to form a true circle, with all seats equal in size and position. The last Vorn warship had been driven from Council space 3 days ago. Human military forces, using technology no one knew they possessed, had defeated the invasion force that had decimated the Council's own defenses. "The Galactic Compact is now open for final signatures," announced the new Council speaker, a middle-aged woman from one of the younger races. Frank stepped forward. 6 months ago, he had walked out of this chamber in anger. Now he returned to help build something new from the ruins of the old system. "Before we proceed," he said, "let us be clear about what this document represents. This is not the old Council with a new name. This is a true partnership of equals." The representatives nodded in agreement. Many had fought hard for this change even before the human withdrawal. The Vorn invasion had simply made it impossible to ignore the need for reform. The old Council failed because it valued tradition over innovation, age over energy, and pride over progress. Frank continued, "The new compact will not make those mistakes." He looked at the Zoric and Meridian representatives. Cas 4 was gone, replaced by a younger, more progressive Zoric. The elder races had resisted the changes at first, but their near destruction by the Vorn had forced them to accept reality. Humanity did not want to rule. Frank said, "We simply wanted respect. Now we have both, though the price was higher than anyone imagined." Outside the chamber window, crews worked to repair damage from Vorn attacks. Beyond them, human and alien ships moved together through space, cooperating in ways that would have seemed impossible just months ago. On the flagship Liberty, Captain Benjamin Reeves received his new orders. His action to save the civilian transport had earned him both a reprimand and a promotion. Now he would command a joint human council fleet patrolling the borders. "Do you think it will last?" his first officer asked, looking at the mixed crew on their bridge. "Humans and council species working together." "It has to," Ben replied. "We're stronger together than apart. I think everyone finally understands that." On Earth, President Summers watched the compact signing ceremony on a large screen. Beside her stood Nicole Winters, recently appointed as Earth's Minister of Interspecies Medical Cooperation. "Was it worth it?" Nicole asked quietly. "The withdrawal, the chaos, the war." Valerie considered the question. "We lost good people. The Council lost millions, but sometimes systems need to break completely before they can be rebuilt properly. And this new compact is better. Equal rights, equal responsibilities, equal voice for all species," Valerie said. "Yes, I believe it is." In the medical wing of the station, Darius Wells worked side by side with Thela, the Meridian scientist. Their research team now included members from 12 different species, all focused on curing diseases that threatened multiple worlds. "We have finally isolated the virus variant," Thela announced. "The cure should be ready within days." Just in time, Darius said. The outbreak on Proxima is getting worse. We could not have done this without your return, Thilla said. When humans left, progress stopped. And now we move forward together, Darius replied. Back in the council chamber, Frank Lawson was the last to sign the Galactic Compact. As he pressed his thumb to the document, he thought about his angry exit 6 months ago. The path had been difficult, but the destination was worth it. The new speaker raised her hands. The Galactic Compact is now in effect. Let us begin our work together. As the chamber filled with applause, Frank looked out at the stars. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not through submission to an unjust system, but by having the courage to walk away and the wisdom to return on better terms. The old council was gone. The chaos had ended, and from that chaos, something stronger had emerged, a true partnership of equals among the stars.